You know, you're currently living through this exact moment where artificial intelligence stops being like a fun Silicon Valley parlor trick.
Right, right.
And it officially becomes a hardened weapon of global military dominance. So welcome to today's deep dive.
It is great to be here.
Today is Friday, May 1st, 2026, and the stack of notes we're working from today, they're sourced directly from the Tech Reader AI Digest by Aaron Rose.
Yeah, and it really paints a picture of an industry undergoing a massive seismic fracture.
It does. I mean, we aren't just talking about software updates anymore, right? We are talking about the literal battle for control over the foundational infrastructure of the future.
Exactly. It's a profound structural shift.
Mm-hmm.
We are watching the transition from, open-ended experimentation into highly fortified silos.
Right.
Governments, massive tech conglomerates, individual billionaires, and sovereign nations are all aggressively maneuvering to control how this technology is deployed.
And who gets to profit from it.
And perhaps most importantly, who actually holds the kill switch.
Yeah, which is terrifying but true. And that's really the underlying thread of everything we are looking at today. We are tracing the battle lines of AI control.
Mm-hmm.
So briefly, here's the mission for today's deep dive. We are going to explore how the U.S. Pentagon is physically locking down its AI architecture, right, to strip power away from tech companies.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Then we'll look at how Apple is proving you don't even need to own the massive infrastructure to monopolize the profits.
Which is a fascinating pivot.
Totally. Then we've got the incredibly messy courtroom battle over who actually controls the origins of OpenAI.
The Musk versus Altman trial.
Right, exactly. And finally, how China has managed to completely bypass American export controls to build basically an entirely parallel AI universe.
It is a packed agenda today.
It really is.
Okay.
So let's unpack this, starting with the Pentagon's unprecedented power play.
Right, so this is a major development in national security. The Defense Department just finalized a series of highly classified AI agreements, and they are granting 8 specific companies access to Impact Level 6 and Impact Level 7 cloud environments.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before we list the companies, let's break down what that actually means for you listening.
Sure.
Because, for those who don't spend their days reading government cloud security protocols, how does an AI model even operate at an Impact Level 7?
Right, so IL-7 is the absolute highest tier of classified security. We are talking about top secret, highly sensitive, compartmentalized information.
Like what? Like nuclear codes?
Yeah, intelligence gathering, nuclear strategy, live operational theater data.
Wow.
You cannot just connect an IL-7 server to the public internet and, ping a cloud API.
Right.
The environments are often completely air-gapped.
Okay.
So for a company to get IL-7 clearance, their AI models have to be physically integrated into isolated, heavily fortified military networks. And the Pentagon just handed the keys to 8 different providers simultaneously.
Yeah, I have the list from Aaron Rose's digest right here. We've got the expected tech giants, right? Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, OpenAI, Google.
The usual suspects.
Exactly. Then we've got hardware and aerospace represented by NVIDIA and SpaceX. We've got Oracle. And then, seemingly out of nowhere, a startup called Reflection AI.
And this deployment is already happening at a staggering scale.
Yeah.
The military isn't just testing this with like a dozen analysts in a basement somewhere.
Yeah, the notes say there are currently 1.3 million Defense Department personnel actively utilizing the military's official platform, GenAI.mil.
Yes, and those 1.3 million users are generating tens of millions of prompts.
Which is wild.
They're deploying hundreds of thousands of autonomous agents. And the operational advantage being reported is intense.
Yeah. The military explicitly states that strategic tasks, which previously took months of human labor, are now being completed in days.
Exactly.
But wait, why 8 companies? Giving
Yeah.
top secret access to 8 separate commercial entities sounds like an absolute logistical and security nightmare.
Well, what's fascinating here is the defensive strategy behind that exact decision. The Department of Defense explicitly refers to this architecture as a vendor lock-in hedge.
I read that, and honestly, it just sounds like bureaucratic jargon. How does that practically work?
Okay, so by diversifying across 8 distinct architectures, the Pentagon is actively stripping leverage away from Silicon Valley.
Oh, I see.
Right. Tech companies frequently debate the morality of military contracts. We've seen this time and time again.
Sure.
If the Pentagon relied solely on one provider, and that company suddenly decided, their ethical red lines were crossed and threatened to pull their service.
It would completely paralyze U.S. military operations.
Exactly. So with an 8-vendor hedge, the military basically makes corporate ethics irrelevant.
Wow.
If one company attempts to pull the plug, the Pentagon simply shifts the classified workload to one of the other 7 models.
Without losing a single second of operational speed.
Precisely.
Which brings us to the glaring omission on this roster, Anthropic.
Yeah, that is the elephant in the room.
Because not too long ago, Anthropic's Claude model was the only AI approved on the Pentagon's classified network.
It was their go-to.
Right. And now they have completely vanished from this mega deal. And the rhetoric surrounding their absence is highly unusual for public government discourse.
It is incredibly aggressive.
It really is. Listen to this quote from the Pentagon's Chief Technology Officer, Emil Michael, speaking on CNBC.
Yeah, I saw this one.
He stated, quote, "It's irresponsible to be reliant on any one partner, and we learned that that one partner didn't really want to work with us in the way we wanted to work with them."
And the hostility goes all the way to the top.
It does. In a recent Senate hearing, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth referred to Anthropic's CEO, Dario Amodei, as an ideological lunatic.
Yes, but we have to look at the massive contradiction happening within the federal government itself right now.
Right, because it's not a unified front.
Not at all.
Yeah.
While the Pentagon is publicly excommunicating Anthropic, the National Security Agency, the NSA, is actively utilizing Anthropic models for advanced cybersecurity defense. And meanwhile, the White House is frantically attempting to build an administrative off-ramp to smooth over relations and bring Anthropic back into the broader federal ecosystem.
And just to be completely clear for you listening, our goal today isn't to validate the Pentagon's aggressive rhetoric.
Absolutely not.
Nor are we validating the internal protests happening at these tech companies, right?
Yeah, like the hundreds of Google employees who just sent a letter protesting their company's inclusion in this IL-7 deal.
Exactly. We are simply looking at the structural mechanics of this clash. We aren't taking sides on the politics of military AI. We're just reporting the fact that the executive branch is entirely fractured.
Precisely. It's a fundamental collision between the absolute reliability required by national security and the ongoing cultural debate within the tech sector over the moral application of AI.
Yeah, the mechanics of it are brilliant in a, Machiavellian way. It sounds like the Pentagon is basically building an all-star team, but making sure they can instantly bench any player who refuses to follow the general's exact playbook.
That's exactly what they're doing.
It's like having 8 different internet providers wired to your house, right? So if one gets mad at you, you never actually go offline.
That is a perfect analogy.
And they are actively funding replacements. Let's go back to that startup we mentioned, Reflection AI, the one backed by NVIDIA.
Yes.
Why did a startup get clearance for top-secret military data?
Because Reflection AI brings a very specific capability to the table. They have an Asimov coding agent.
An Asimov coding agent. I'm assuming that refers to Isaac Asimov's rules of robotics.
It does.
How does an AI agent actually enforce that in code?
Okay, so rather than just probabilistically guessing what code looks correct, which is, what most large language models do.
Right, they just predict the next word.
Exactly. But an Asimov agent is mathematically constrained by strict, deterministic security axioms.
Oh, interesting.
It writes software that is provably secure, with baked-in guardrails that literally cannot be bypassed.
So they're physically hard-coding safety rather than just politely asking the AI to be safe.
Yes, and the government is intentionally elevating Reflection AI as a direct alternative to Anthropic's Claude code.
Wow.
They aren't just locking Anthropic out of the room, they are actively cultivating a purpose-built replacement for the exact niche Anthropic used to dominate.
Okay, so the U.S. military is spending massive government resources to lock down the infrastructure of AI. Let's pivot to the corporate side of control.
Yeah, this is a huge shift.
Right, because a single company just proved you can monopolize the profits of this revolution without spending hundreds of billions of dollars on the infrastructure itself.
We're talking about Apple.
We are talking about Apple.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Apple's fiscal Q2 2026 earnings, which ended on March 28.
And the financial footprint they just reported is truly historic.
It's hard to even wrap your head around these figures. Best March quarter ever.
Yeah.
$111.2 billion in revenue. That's up 17% year over year. Earnings per share surged 22%.
And the hardware sales alone were staggering.
Right. The iPhone 17 alone drove $56.99 billion in sales. Their services sector, which includes everything from the App Store to iCloud, hit an all-time record of nearly $31 billion. Gross margin is sitting at an incredibly healthy 49.3%.
Right. And to top it off, they authorized a massive $100 billion stock buyback.
It's just wild, but those numbers represent absolute dominance in consumer hardware.
Yes, but if we connect this to the bigger picture of the AI arms race, the most important metric isn't their revenue.
Oh, right.
It's their capital expenditures.
Yes. Let's talk about the CapEx. In the first half of fiscal 2026, Apple spent $4.3 billion on capital expenditures. Now compare that to the rest of the industry.
It's a completely different universe.
Totally.
Yeah.
Microsoft is currently operating at a $190 billion annual CapEx run rate.
Yeah.
Amazon is at a $200 billion run rate. The other tech giants are pouring hundreds of billions into massive planetary-scale data centers, cooling systems, and specialized hardware.
Well, Apple is spending a fraction of that. Analysts are terming this Apple's capital-light AI strategy.
You like that? Capital light.
Yeah, the underlying bet is that the true lasting value of AI doesn't solely reside in owning the massive foundational models or the sprawling server farms.
Interesting.
The value accrues at the point of interaction, the device and the ecosystem.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Think about it like the high-end restaurant industry.
Go back.
Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, they are out back spending billions, buying the farmland, purchasing the tractors, pouring the fertilizer for the AI revolution.
Right, they're doing the heavy lifting.
Meanwhile, Apple didn't buy a single farm. They spent a fraction of that and just set up the world's most profitable farm stand at the end of the road.
That's a great way to look at it.
They take the ingredients everyone else grew, charge a massive premium for the plated meal, and put the AI right in our pockets.
That is an excellent way to frame it,
Yeah.
especially given what Tim Cook explicitly stated on the earnings call.
What did he say?
He noted that their Apple Intelligence collaboration with Google is, quote, going well.
Going well. That's classic Tim Cook understatement.
Exactly. Apple is perfectly content to let Google shoulder the massive infrastructure costs for heavy cloud computation.
Right, while Apple handles the efficient on-device processing that preserves user privacy and, of course, their margins.
Exactly.
So all the Wall Street critics who spent the last 2 years screaming, "Show me the return on investment for all these AI chips,"
Yeah.
they had a terrible week.
A demonstrably terrible week. Because when you look at the tech earnings across the board, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Apple, Meta, they all crushed estimates.
They really did.
It proves that the AI infrastructure build-out is generating tangible, immense ROI across the entire stack.
Wow.
Value is accruing at the infrastructure layer for Amazon and Microsoft, and it is accruing at the ecosystem layer for Apple.
It is an ecosystem of unimaginable profit. But, where there is that level of money and societal influence, there's always a vicious fight over who controls the origin story.
Always.
And that leads us to the courtroom drama currently unfolding between Elon Musk and OpenAI.
All right, so we are just wrapping up week 1 of the Musk versus Altman trial.
And it has been eventful.
Very. The jury has been sent home for a long weekend, and they were left with a deeply complicating piece of evidence regarding a woman named Siobhan Zillis.
Wait, Siobhan Zillis, she's a high-ranking executive at Neuralink, right? Which is another one of Elon Musk's companies.
That's correct.
So how does she end up as the star witness in a trial fundamentally about OpenAI?
Because the evidence introduced by OpenAI's legal team paints Zillis as a covert liaison between Musk and OpenAI after he supposedly cut ties with the organization.
Okay, let's lay out the timeline for you guys because this completely contradicts Musk's narrative.
It does.
Musk officially stepped down from the OpenAI nonprofit board in February 2018.
Right.
And the entire premise of his lawsuit is that after he left, he was purposefully kept in the dark, pushed out by Sam Altman, and entirely blindsided when OpenAI pivoted to a for-profit model.
Yes, that's his core argument.
But then, OpenAI drops a text message from Siobhan Zillis to Elon Musk, dated February 16th, 2018, right as he is leaving the board.
And that text message asks a very pointed question.
What was it?
Quote, "Do you prefer I stay close and friendly to OpenAI to keep info flowing or begin to disassociate?"
Oh, wow.
And Musk's directive was for her to stay close.
Right.
He specifically wanted to use her access to quietly poach top-tier AI engineering talent away from OpenAI and funnel them into Tesla.
And Musk's time on the witness stand trying to explain this dynamic was incredibly messy.
It was a disaster.
He kept changing his definition of his relationship with Zillis under oath.
Yeah.
First, he called her a chief of staff, then shifted to a close advisor, and eventually settled on, well, we live together and she's the mother of 4 of my children.
Right.
But then, in Zillis' own deposition, she directly contradicted him, characterizing Musk as a frequent visitor who maintains a completely separate residence.
Those personal contradictions certainly damage his credibility. But from a legal standpoint, the text message itself is a devastating double-edged sword against his core lawsuit.
So what does this all mean for the trial moving forward? Like, how does it actually hurt his legal argument?
Okay, so first, it completely shatters the claim that he was an innocent founder kept in the dark about OpenAI's shifting corporate structure.
Right.
You cannot legally claim you were blindsided by a company's internal movements when you actively maintained a trusted informant feeding you intelligence for years.
Yeah, it's kind of absurd. He's complaining he was locked out of the house while he literally had a mole inside live streaming the entire dinner party directly to his phone.
Exactly that. And the second edge of the sword is the talent poaching.
Right.
OpenAI's primary defense is that Musk's lawsuit has absolutely nothing to do with a noble desire to protect OpenAI's original nonprofit mission.
Interesting.
They are arguing that Musk simply realized AI was going to be the most valuable technology on Earth.
Which it is.
He wanted total control of the intellectual property and the engineers for his own for-profit ventures.
Yeah.
And he is suing because he failed to secure them. The Z-Lease texts explicitly confirm he was using back channels to drain OpenAI's talent pool for Tesla.
And the jury just gets to sit with this massive contradiction for 3 entire days over the long weekend.
Yes, they do.
When court resumes on Monday, they'll hear testimonies from OpenAI President Greg Brockman and AI safety professor Stuart Russell.
It's going to be intense.
The battle for control over American AI origins is turning into a total street fight.
It really is.
But, while American tech titans are locked in litigation and the Pentagon is busy building secure fortresses, well, the rest of the world has not paused.
No, they haven't.
Let's look at the global stage, because what China just achieved honestly changes everything.
I would say this is arguably the most consequential piece of engineering news in the digest.
Okay.
A Chinese AI company, DeepSeek, just released their latest models, DeepSeek V4 Pro and V4 Flash. These have been live since April 24.
And these aren't mid-tier models playing catch-up, right? The specs are terrifyingly advanced.
They are state-of-the-art.
We are talking about 1.6 trillion parameters.
Yes.
And crucially, a 1 million token context window. Just to put that into perspective for everyone listening, a 1 million token context window means you can feed the AI the equivalent of 10 to 15 full-length novels.
Or thousands of pages of intercept transcripts, financial reports, or satellite data analysis.
Exactly, in a single prompt.
Yeah.
And it can analyze the entire data set simultaneously.
It's incredible.
But the software isn't actually the most impressive breakthrough here, is it?
No, the real breakthrough is the hardware it is running on.
Right.
DeepSeek V4 operates natively on the Ascend 950 PR chip.
Okay.
And that chip is designed, manufactured, and optimized entirely by Huawei.
Wow.
As a result, Huawei is projecting their AI chip revenue to surge by 60%. Hitting roughly $12 billion in 2026.
And this directly shatters the entire premise of United States foreign policy regarding technology over the last several years.
Exactly. This raises an important question regarding the efficacy of global embargoes.
Yeah.
Because for years, the core of U.S. technological strategy was to aggressively restrict companies like NVIDIA and AMD from selling their most advanced cutting-edge AI silicon to China.
Right. The assumption being that if you bottleneck the hardware supply chain, you indefinitely bottleneck their artificial intelligence capabilities.
Precisely.
But Huawei and DeepSeek just bypass the bottleneck completely through a concept the notes call inference localization.
Yes.
Explain how they actually achieved that. How do you just invent your way out of a global hardware embargo?
Well, you build from the ground up entirely within your own borders.
Okay.
Inference refers to the process of an AI model actually running and generating responses, right, as opposed to the initial training phase.
Got it.
Historically, Chinese firms struggled to acquire the massive clusters of American chips required to train frontier models. But what they have done is hyper-optimize their domestic software to run flawlessly on their own domestic hardware.
Wow.
They achieved what we call sovereign parity.
Sovereign parity.
They have created an end-to-end ecosystem. The silicon, the manufacturing, the algorithms, and the deployment.
All domestic.
That requires absolutely zero American technology.
So if we look at the global map right now,
Yeah.
the Pentagon is actively hedging against Silicon Valley to lock down American military AI.
Right.
Apple is leveraging its dominant hardware ecosystem to capture all the consumer profit without building the massive server farms.
Yep.
Elon Musk is fighting a bitter, contradictory legal war to rewrite who controls the foundational IP.
Hmm.
And while America fights over its own system, China just quietly built a completely independent supply chain.
They absolutely did.
It's like they got locked out of the global hardware store, so they just went into their own backyard, mined their own ore, forged their own tools, and built an exact replica of the frontier AI market.
And those domestic tools are now matching the analytical speed and capability of the West.
That is wild.
The United States officially no longer holds a monopoly on the physical infrastructure of the AI revolution.
It is genuinely dizzying when you pull back and look at all these moving pieces simultaneously.
It is a lot to process.
So let's quickly recenter and recap the ground we've covered today.
Good idea.
We started inside the Pentagon's classified cloud, looking at an 8-company vendor hedge designed to physically secure top-secret operations against corporate ethical red lines.
Right, and then we examined Apple's incredibly efficient $4.3 billion capital light maneuver.
Proving that controlling the consumer endpoint generates record-breaking profits without the need to own the massive foundational data centers.
Yes. We also untangled the deeply messy Musk versus Altman trial,
Where Siobhan Zillis's February 2018 text messages severely undermined Musk's narrative that he was an innocent outsider kept in the dark.
and finally, we tracked the profound geopolitical shift of sovereign parity.
Right, with China's DeepSeek V4 launching on domestic Huawei silicon, proving that U.S. export controls have basically failed to prevent a parallel AI ecosystem.
It is a massive amount of technical and geopolitical friction.
It really is. But this is exactly why we do these deep dives.
Absolutely, because for you, listening right now, understanding these mechanics is crucial.
Yeah,
We are moving past the era of testing chatbots.
for sure.
You are witnessing the precise transition where artificial intelligence integrates into the load-bearing columns of society.
Well said.
It is dictating military strategy, reshaping trillion-dollar corporate economics, and redefining the balance of power between sovereign nations.
It is the new infrastructure of the world.
Completely.
The trenches are dug, and the grid is going live. But I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over as we wrap up.
Okay.
We mentioned at the very beginning that 1.3 million Defense Department personnel are actively using AI to compress operational military tasks from months down to days. If both the United States military and a completely parallel, highly advanced Chinese AI ecosystem are now operating at this unprecedented machine-driven speed,
Yeah.
what happens to the concept of global security when the military decision-making loop of a nation becomes fundamentally faster than human comprehension?
Wow. When the infrastructure operates at the speed of light, you just have to hope the safeguards hold.
Something to think about the next time your phone auto-completes a text message. Thank you so much for joining us on today's Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.